Today's topic is forgiveness is divine. But first off, I want to say go check out Logic's Make a Shoutout video. Subscribe to him if you haven't, though with 3,500 subs, most of you probably are. Also subscribe to any of the people you see on that list that you think deserve it. There's a lot of good videos on there, many of them better than my shoutout video I did, but definitely worth checking out. We definitely need to help the smaller channels. And technically I'm a smaller channel, but there's people on there that are just starting out and need the support too. So on to the main topic, which is forgiveness is divine. And I agree that forgiving people for how they've hurt you is a good idea. Jesus does it. I don't believe in Jesus, but I think that people should be given a second chance, and we shouldn't necessarily hold grudges. So why is this on the Destroying Lives for Jesus list? Because it's done stupidly. People just seem to assume that if someone says that they want forgiveness, that's just automatically given. Jesus, if he exists, he can know in someone's heart whether or not they're actually, truly repentant. But as humans, we don't have that luxury. So I don't think you should just automatically assume that they are. And I'm sure some of you will say, no, we don't. But you look at, the stories of this. Someone does a crime and they ask for forgiveness. And instead of, going to the cops about this crime, they forgive him, and then that's it. The guy asks for forgiveness, and, because Jesus said they should be forgiven, they don't go to jail. I've heard a couple stories about this, forget the exact ones. But then you have other cases where someone does a crime like, the pedophile pastor. He was caught, jailed, and he's out now. And he's made pastor of a church. And none of the kids can go there during the times that he's there. I believe in giving these guys a second chance. But should you really just jump straight into making him pastor? Should he even be in a place that has children at this stage? Maybe he's cured, maybe he's better. But you don't just, Jesus forgave him, so now we have to forgive him and give him an automatic, free reign on the children. It just seems stupid to me. It's sort of just not, I've talked about this before. Religious people do stuff that they wouldn't do with anyone else. Yet they sort of just do this. Like, forgiving people is good, but use your brains about it. Saying they ask for forgiveness doesn't mean they shouldn't go to jail for the crimes they did. It doesn't mean that now that they're forgiven supposedly and they're repentant, that we should just forget what they did in the past. I'm not going to have someone that robbed banks become the bank manager. Just because he asked for forgiveness and he found Jesus in jail. It's ridiculous. And that's the other part of the issue, is that, a lot of the jail sentences and parole is based upon finding religion. There's cases being recently of judges charging someone with reading the Bible or going to church in lieu of going to jail or for lighter sentence. If there's secular versions of this, that's fine. But it's sort of assumption that if you become Christian, that you should get a lighter sentence than atheists. Are they also going to do it for Muslims or other religious? So I think my main issue here is just forgiveness without thinking about it. Just openly being too stupid about how it's done. So comment down below. Let me know your thoughts on this. Like I said, this is a bit of a tricky one, but I definitely think it is sort of an important thing for people to think about, because I don't see enough people thinking on this.